Hey, everybody. Welcome to Hustle to Hero. I cannot wait for you to meet my new best friend, my brother from another mother. Alphonso James has got an incredible, inspiring story that is just going to knock you off your seats. So, Alfonso, say hey to everybody.
Hey everybody, and hey to
So,
you, Kiley.
I know. I'm so glad. You know what? This is so funny. The minute that Alfonso and I connected, we were like instant besties. I mean, the energy has came and we've got plans and
Yes,
we just know, man, we are I'm just so excited
yes,
to talk with you and just talk about the different projects that we can do together. But Alfonso, tell everybody a little bit about you, where you're at currently, what you've got going on, and then I'd like to take it back to your story if you don't mind.
absolutely. I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Um, the things I have going on, or we have going on right now, are incredible. I remember dreaming as a kid about a place where you can just go and soar, and your spirit is so free, and there's so much peace around you. So Unfragile Farm embodies those things. And we have a space um, that is so beautiful and so precious on the bluff of Lake Michigan in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. And it's a place where if you experience any type of trauma, whether it's you consider it big or small, we want you to be involved in this because we like to love on you and we would like to encourage you to become the best version of you. And so that's what we created on this 32 acres. And as a result of that, people are being drawn to to this space, and they're receiving the revelation of who they are and the essence of their character. And so that is so important to us. But most importantly, it's just just to just to give people love, something that most of us haven't experienced in a long time.
I love that. So Alfonso, what brought this to attention in the situation now? And why don't we start with how long have you been out?
Mhm.
And I think the most important part of this story is you were wrongfully in
Yeah.
prison.
Yes. Yes. Um, at 17 years old, I was arrested and convicted and sentenced to 105 years for a crime I did not commit. I was a 17-year-old illiterate boy at the time, and I was trying to find my place in the community. And so the place that I found was in breakdancing.
Mhm.
I used to love breakdancing. I remember standing on the corner with the cardboard boxes, with our boom boxes, and just having a good time as people gathered around us and began to clap. And then all of a sudden, suddenly, one day, I will never forget this, the date or the time. It was July the 27th, 1985, at 10:40 a.m. in the morning. I was accosted by the Milwaukee Police Department, inquiring about something that was insignificant at the time. And as a result of that, I was taken downtown to the Milwaukee Police Department, where I was interrogated 11 hours as a juvenile. And so I
Mm.
wasn't able to have access to my mother, to food, to the restroom, or any of those type of things. And because I didn't know how to read, and I struggled with insecurity with my
Mhm.
identity,
Mhm.
I eventually signed my name to a piece of paper, and that paper came out to be a confession. And so I was sentenced to 105 years um, in Wisconsin State Penitentiary. And sorry,
Don't and
um,
you love dogs. I already
oh
love
my
it.
God, he's a beauty. So I went to Green Bay Correctional Institution, like like totally confused and not go upstairs. I'm sorry, and
Don't worry.
unaware of what I had fallen into. So when I went in that place and I began to, yeah, I was like, Malcolm, come here, baby, come here, sweetie. Um, Yeah, Pete trying to get outside. I'm sorry.
Don't
Um,
worry, don't worry.
and I went into this place not only confused, but really hurt and by what had transpired in the system. So I went there. The first 5 years I spent in solitary confinement. Um, I made a lot of bad decisions. I was involved in a lot of things that I knew I shouldn't have engaged in, but I did
Mhm,
anyway. Um, and so while I was in solitary confinement, that's where I learned to read and I learned to write and I learned to like become me.
mhm,
And once I discovered who I was in that dark place, I began to love me. I began to
mhm,
appreciate me. And after 5 years, once I was released back into general population, that's when I began to see the needs of other men that were around me. Although I was in prison falsely, I still felt a strong desire to help as many people
mhm,
as I needed to. And so I started creating programs in the prison system
mhm,
for men to not only better themselves but elevate their thoughts and become that person in community
mhm.
in our society where you're able to contribute rather than take away. And after 32 years, the Wisconsin Innocent Project got me released, and so I was released on parole. And 5 years, 5 years, 5 years after I was released, because that parole, I didn't want to lie and say that I was involved in something that I knew that was not the truth. So I got out on parole. I went into like a deep depression because I was still a 17-year-old boy.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and once I discovered myself out here, that's when I was able to investigate the case myself. And we discovered some unusual things, but that what brings us to this point today
right.
where before the exoneration even happened, I still saw the human heart. And I saw the need for people to know that, okay, love is real, compassion is real. And that's where I am today, out here free in the world where I continue to smile, continue to love, and continue to support those who are less fortunate than me. And
Yeah.
that's my dream.
Well, it's a beautiful dream. I can't imagine the things that that you must have been going through, especially as a 17-year-old boy. I mean, like you're we just we have no fathom until we're 25 or 28
Right.
the mistakes that we make.
Right.
So I know that you and I are both people of faith.
Yes.
God does funny things sometimes,
Oh my God.
and
Yes.
where He shows, I think, you know, um, this is the path
Yes.
that you had to go down,
Yes.
Alfonso.
Yes. Yes.
How how have you, with your family, did you have a family support? I mean, here you are, 17 without family.
Yes. Yes. And Kylie, it goes back to what you said about faith.
Mhm,
I was born in a small town in Mississippi. And so I came to Milwaukee, Wisconsin when I was like about 6 or 7 years old. And during that period, my grandmother and my mother had always instilled faith and the
mhm,
values and the integrity. And so that had already been embedded in me. So by the time I went to prison, I never considered prison as a punishment because first of all, I was in there un, you know, unjustly.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
so I went in there with a clear conscience. And so by me having a clear conscience, I was able to experience things that a lot of people incarcerated,
Mm,
wasn't able to experience. And so I had a personal talk with God one night. I was in solitary confinement and it was so dark, and I was like moments away from committing suicide. But there was this quiet, still voice in my heart that was telling me that I have something greater for you. I have
yeah.
something greater for you. And so when I began to pay attention to that voice within me, that's when I began to say, okay, this suffering is for a purpose.
Yeah.
What is that purpose? As of now, I have no idea. But I would celebrate this misery. I would celebrate the sadness. I would celebrate the the abuse that
Mhm,
was happening in my life, and
mm,
I would take it in and I would become something great because of this. And one day I told the warden, I told everyone in the institution, someone is going to listen to me. I'm going to be free from prison. And when that happens, the world is going to hear my story. And it's not going to be a story of raising my fist at God and said, I'm angry at you,
Yeah.
but raising my hands of praise and say, God, thank you.
And Alfonso, were you able to get some, I'm going to say support, whatever it might be, inside of the prison? Call it the warden, call it your sponsors, call it whatever. Were and we understand there's no blame
Mhm.
here. Everybody just does
Yeah,
the best they can, especially
absolutely.
back then versus now, right? But were you
Absolutely.
able to get some support?
I have, can I share something personal?
Absolutely, please do.
Um, there was this chaplain during my duration in solitary confinement. There was this chaplain used to come visit every inmate every Friday, faithfully. And when he came, he always brought some type of religious material.
Hmm.
And when he came to my cell, I was so frustrated with God, but I was so embarrassed that I wasn't able to read at that time, and nobody knew this. So he would come to my cell and offer me materials, and I would have some urine that
Hmm.
I would throw urine on him in hopes of preventing him from stopping in front of my cell. So week after week, I would go through this same routine where you stop in front of my cell, I'm going to dash you because I don't deserve to be in prison and I want somebody to listen to my pain. And then finally, after a month or so, he came to my cell, but he came to my cell different. He came to my cell with a chair and two towels. And one of the towels he had wrapped around his neck. So when I dashed him with the urine, he wiped himself.
Mm,
He went and grabbed the chair with the additional towel. He sat in front of my cell and he put the other towel around his neck. And he was
yeah,
like, Alfonso, what is wrong with you? I love you and so do God. And I was like, man, how can a God love me but allow this to
yeah.
happen to me? And I was like, how can you love me, Pastor, and you don't even know who I am? And he was like, he said, Alfonso, I love you and so do God. So he kept repeating this time and time and time again to the point where eventually I believed him. And when I believed him, there was something that shifted in my life. And I told him, I was like, Pastor, I'm in prison for something I didn't do and don't nobody believe me. And he looked at me and he's like, Alfonso, I believe you.
Ah,
And when he
beautiful.
said that, there was this sincerity and there was this innocence that penetrated my heart that let me know that he was speaking truth. And once I received that truth from him, that's when I told him I can't read. I don't even know how to write my mother. And in response to that, he said, "Okay, we're gonna get out of this
Ah,
together."
nice.
And the following day, he came to me in solitary confinement with the child's coloring book, and he gave me this coloring book, and they had these different words and on there, and the only thing I had to do was match them to the picture. And as I did so, I began to like evolve into this man, into this person that I always wanted to be. So while in solitary confinement, I imagine me standing in front of people being freed or exonerated from this crime
Wow.
that I was persecuted of, but also look at the people that pointed their fingers at me and said that you were the one. I've now met these people and I sat at the table with these people and I told them I love you more than anything
Wow.
and I forgive you. There's nothing to hold on to. So that re- that release is something that I needed that the pastor allowed me to have 40 years ago. And now I was able to share that with other people.
Well, I first of all, the heart of the pastor.
Yeah,
He has a job, but he didn't have to go. He went
yeah,
above his job. He went.
yeah,
He was obviously a God of man, a
yeah,
man of God, but
yeah,
he was compassionate about
yeah.
Alfonso. He really did love you.
Yes, yes,
Wow, that's amazing.
yes,
Let's talk a little bit about your journey. Then now you kind of like you're getting some tools to
yes,
learn to read and write.
yes,
How was it all was there any get tutoring? I mean, nowadays you can get a GED in prison,
mhm.
you can get a lot of stuff. Back then I'm sure that there was absolutely nothing.
No, no,
Yeah. How
no.
did you learn to teach yourself how to read and write?
Um, in solitary confinement, you're not allowed to have like a tutor or anything. You're just by yourself. But when what the chaplain did was every time he came there, he would correct my work for me.
Oh,
But the way he would correct it would be in a lovingly type of way where I
yeah.
didn't even realize that, he made me feel right in everything that I did. And he made me feel growth in
Mm.
everything that he said to me. And after like a period of time, he said, Alfonso, I have another book that I would love for you to read. So he introduced me to the King James.
Yeah.
Now, Kylie, that's probably the most hardest Bible to read.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially for
Yes,
still a
yes,
teen boy.
yes. And I'm like, when he gave me the book, and I remember opening up Genesis, and the pages began to like jump out at me for some reason. That every time I read a word, it became my reality. And I remember
Wow.
it says in the beginning, so I knew that every human being has a beginning, and what you're gonna do in that beginning. Um, God has already ordained. Whether you choose to take that path or not, it's going to be up to you. I chose to take the path of love because I knew there was more abundance. I didn't want to be watching over my shoulder for anything like that. So while I was in the hole, I developed a passion for theology, and I told the
Mm.
pastor I want to go to college for that. I had
That's
no
great.
GED, no HSCD, no experience whatsoever. So he started bringing me other materials down, and I started diving into it. So once I figure out that once I understand the King James Bible, there is nothing I can't read or understand. And so after the 5 years, I was eventually released from solitary confinement, and I was reintroduced to the education system in the prison,
Hmm.
meaning that the last time I had taken like an overall test, I was at a third grade 3.5 reading level. I mean, third grade educational level.
Right.
And they titled me functionally illiterate.
Hmm.
Um, so to be able to go from that point to when I got out the hold and I retested again, now my test results came back post high school.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so the warden came to me and she was like, how in the world did you come from a third grade reading level to all of a sudden you're post high school now? And I was like, I studied while I was in solitary confinement. They gave me one test to take for my HSCD. I didn't have to go through any school course or any of those type of things.
Wow.
So I took that test and I scored so high that they ended up having me be a guest speaker at one of the institutions. So that's where I'm
That's
at.
amazing.
Theology is like my main thing, and then I also
Yeah.
went on to get a culinary arts degree, and an associate's degree, and a communication degree. So
You know, Alfonso, I just I'll say this in a way because and my heart it goes out to you, of course. But I wonder, God is funny how he can do some things. If you did not, if you were not in the place that you were in,
yes,
where would you be at today? Who knows? Who knows? You came from a loving home,
yes.
but could you have done this and that? Would you have done the things that you accomplished?
Mm. First of all, Kylie, I got to give God all praise for everything. To wake up in the morning, to be able to go to sleep at night and dream pleasant dreams rather than having nightmares.
Yeah.
So the thing that happened to me, I considered as being an intervention
Yeah.
because I wasn't out there for the AIDS epidemic. I didn't practice protection. I wasn't out there for the crack epidemic. There was
Yep.
I mean, and
Mm.
it was like in the heart of the community I grew up in. So I knew I would have been effective in a negative way had not God intervened the way that He did. He did not cause me to go to prison.
Yeah.
And in fact, I'm glad you asked that question because leading up to that point of my incarceration, God sent me dreams. I
Hmm.
have been unfaithful in a lot of things that I was doing. I was being pulled into the streets.
Hmm.
And right before I got locked up, God showed me the inside of the prison. He showed
Wow.
me it was a warning, and I ignored it. And so by the time I went to Green Bay Correctional Institution, I had been there before. I remember the
Wow.
smell. I remember the cries of the men. I remember the blaring of the TVs and the radio. So when I
Yeah.
went there, God was like, Alfonso, I told you.
Yeah.
If you do not correct this, he sent ministers, he sent deacons, he sent pastors in my path before any of this ever happened, and I ignored it. I ignored
Well,
it.
sometimes we need a big nudge, don't we?
Oh my God. Yes. Yes.
Well, Alfonso, it's an incredible story, and I can't wait to meet you in person. So
Yes.
now, speaking of in person, there's two things that we're going to be doing.
Yes.
I'm going to send you the Grand Rapids United this United Summit.
Yes.
And I hope that we can meet there. That one's on August 14th. But let's
Mm.
talk about the Big Bash, your
Yes.
birthday.
Yes. Yes. September the 27th. Um, wow. I, I just came back from Atlanta, and I was invited by oh my goodness, this company to come and speak, to share my story. So I went down there. I had no idea that Holly Berry would be on the stage who introduced me. I had no idea that all these amazing other people, celebrities, and so forth would be there. And I met a couple, and it was like, I shared with them that my birthday is coming up, and we plan
Mhm.
on having a grand opening for Unfragile Farm. And a couple of the performers said they would be willing and happy to come there and perform for us free of cost. And these are big time people.
That's awesome.
And so in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, September the 27th, we're going to have the grand opening of Unfragile Farm. And Unfragile Farm is a place where, again, where you're able to, we have Airbnbs, we have massage therapists, we have trauma therapy. If you just want to come up there and just spend however long on the lake, you're more than welcome to, because it's beautiful country. It's
I'm
nice.
so excited. I'm
Yes,
excited. I know that we're going to do some great things
yes,
together. And Alfonso, I just can't wait to explore what
yes,
our various programs
yes,
can do,
yes,
getting people completely
yes,
catapulted,
yes,
getting them financially independent,
yes,
free, and also contributing to
yes,
life,
yes,
contributing to others, and giving back to what our cause is.
yes. Well,
Yeah.
Kylie, this is the thing I think. I think the universe bring us together
Yep.
at the exact time. And I remember a couple weeks ago when a mutual friend of ours like, you got to meet this, you got to meet her. And I lived on the street called Kiley when I was released. I lived on the
I
street
love this
5
part.
years. And to have a person, my friend, my newfound friend, his name is Kiley, and I love that block because it helped me grow up. And now to be in
Mhm.
your space, oh my God. Just
I love it.
imagine, my friend, I am so impressed with you.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend. And I love that you lived on a street after me. I love it.
Yes.
So that is amazing.
Okay.
Alfonso, we're going to make sure that everybody has got your details. I know that you're busy changing the name of the farm, which I cannot wait to be a part of.
Yes.
I will make sure that I help you just blow this out of the water and everybody sees what an amazing man you are and what an amazing life that you're putting toward to make it better for other people.
Oh my God. And so are you, Kylie. And I'm so
Thanks.
impressed with you, my friend.
Thank
Let's do this
you.
together.
You got it. All
Yes.
right, you guys. Bye for now. And if you want to be a guest on my Hustle to Hero, just message me and you too can tell your story. Thanks, guys.